Yeah, it's the conquest crew. We coming for you, your friends too. They thought that we never knew. It's the conquest crew. We coming for you, your friends too. Tell me what you gonna do. It's the conquest crew. We coming for you, your friends too. They thought that we never knew. It's the conquest crew. We coming for you, your friends too. Tell me what you gonna do.
In the land of the feast, we are found in the streets. Misguided, we eat that freedom's in the mark of the beast. Destroys my soul to know that all we seeking is peace. Tell Jah we seek, we destined to remain as the least. Perception of realities, pollution can often cause confusion until the Father reveals a world of illusion designed to trap the mind behind bars. We'll rise from graves when we know who we are.
Just another day in the West, living up the war for the less. Yes. The people who deserve the very least are the people with the most. Yes. Just another day in the West, praying for the babe and the press. Yes. And still the people who the least are the people with the most.
When will the Father come, raising us all out of the ghetto slums, teaching us that our lives are the sum total of thoughts, doctrine implemented with force, whipping a horse, which were tools of the trade in Holocaust days. Look at the many ways the media attack us. They have you thinking our occupation is carjackers, international drug trafficking, gun clappers, as if it's always the way that we were. Tragedies occur when there's new laws feeding the bellies of rich, taking food from the poor people's table. The average individual unstable, desiring change but powerless, believing they ain't able to make a difference, buying into the system, the same that they built that's not grown up to diss them. Marley said the truth would defend, therefore I take refuge in Allah against the guises of men.
Just another day in the West, living up the war for the less. Yes, the people who deserve the very least are the people with the most. Yes. Just another day in the West, praying for the babe and the press. Yes. And still the people who the least are the people with the most.
Well, I'll be rocking enemies overseas like the breeze of the Socrates of rich melodies. And if you take away the keys, singers and MCs ain't nothing but cheese on the shelf for the reason why we ain't ready for war every season with the big belly Babylon treason. In these days where the least are the rebels and the poor never ever get to be the chosen.
Just another day in the West, living up the war for the less. Yes, the people who deserve the very least are the people with the most. Yes, it's just another day in the West, praying for the babe and the press. Yes, and still the people who the least are the people with the most. It's just another day in the West, living up the war for the less. Yes, the people who deserve the very least are the people with the most. It's just another day in the West, praying for the babe and the press. Yes, and still the people who the least are the people with the most.
Yeah, it's the conquest crew. We coming for you, your friends too. They thought that we never knew. It's the conquest crew. We coming for you, your friends too. Tell me what you gonna do. It's the conquest crew. We coming for you, your friends too. They thought that we never knew. It's the conquest crew. We coming for you, your friends too. Tell me what you gonna do.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we doing? Let me just make sure that I've unmuted myself. Good evening, and how are we doing? I hope you can hear me. Let me just make sure that you can. Can you put a thumbs up to confirm or let me know that you can hear me? Let's see who we have in the room. I'm so looking forward to today's session. So, okay, Roz, how we doing? Cool. Shawnette can hear me loud and clear. Okay. So how is everyone doing? Have you had a good week? My week has been heavy going, but good. Some exciting things happening. Remember I said that this is the year of harvest, and boy, are there things cooking in the fires. So all good, Ross says. I hope you've had a good week. Laura, good evening to you too. So tonight, you're in for a treat. I am going to be continuing with the theme for this month, which is about business, money, and service. And so for those of you who are new, who are tuning in for the first time, well, welcome. My name is Tony Biola Dada, and I will be your host this evening. And just to put into context for those of you who are joining us for the first time on either Facebook or YouTube, this is an evening that we are running every Friday as part of the Mind Reset or the Mindset Live. And it's a session that we do every Friday as part of our 5 pillars of success. So just to give you the backstory as to what I'm referring to. So I wrote this book a few years ago. We called the GPS system, which stands for Grow Personal Success. And as part of that philosophy, it's based on the knowledge that there are 5 pillars of success, that when we begin to give attention to these 5 areas, then we begin to see our lives begin to transform. And so those 5 pillars are your mental and emotional state, your spiritual state based on your core belief systems, your physical state, your social state in terms of your relationships with yourself as well as others, and then business, money, and finance. So you kind of get the context. So each month we are focusing on one of those pillars. And this month we decided to start with the subject that everybody wants to talk about, money. And so we will be delving into different aspects of this. Last week we had my good friend Paul Elliott, who both he and I share the same business mentor. And last week, if you missed it, it's on Facebook and it's on YouTube. It was a tribute to our business mentor, Ella Bramson, businessman extraordinaire, successfully run 47 businesses, all of them successful, 4 of them with $1 billion annual turnover. So if you want to check that out, there were some great tips that we shared there. Today, what I'm going to be sharing with you is my top 10 tips for becoming the boss of your life and getting out of the rat race. Because over the years, over the decades, ladies and gentlemen, I've heard many people give all kinds of excuses why they feel trapped in the rat race and excuses as to why they cannot become their own boss. And so I thought today, why not share some of the tips that I think have served me well, and you may like some of them or all of them, but it's a different concept, but it's what's worked for me. And so I'll be sharing that with you. Next week, we will have my good friend, Chris Coney, who we're going to be talking about the new age of money. And that is Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. I mean, guess what? Newsflash, you may not have heard, but this week, El Salvador became the first country to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender and currency. Now, I don't know if you understand what that means, ladies and gentlemen, but you're about to see a massive surge take place in this new world. And hence the reason why we're talking about money, because for many of us, we've used money, but not understood money in its previous guise. Now I'm inviting everyone to understand money as a tool, especially in this new era, and how you can make it work for you. But as I said, that's going to be next week. So definitely put the date in your diary. For those of you who are interested, we'll also be talking about some of the other things that we're looking at doing within our wealth club that we're building. But for now, I want to make sure that everyone's with me. And are we ready to dip and dive? Towards the end, I'm going to give an opportunity for some of our practitioners who may wish to share their experience and insights based on what I'm talking and sharing with you today to join us. And then we will go in the private section. And for those of you who are not familiar, the private section is where we go off social media. It's exclusively for our members. And it's the space where you can ask specific questions, because guess what? People who progress are people who love to ask questions, because one question can solve a whole array of challenges or problems that you may have. And so if you'd like to join us in the members group, then someone from my team will post the link. It is a paid membership, it's monthly. And so you can pay for 1 month, and it means that you'll have access to the private sessions that we're going to have this week, as well as next week, and then the following week, when I hope to have my good friend, Bola Ranson, who is a property guru. So you'll have more than enough opportunity to ask questions and gain some insight from experts in this money field, because if we want to grow in any particular area, one of the best things is to be able to be teachable and find someone that can teach us. But anyway, I'm giving some of the game away. So now that I've done the introductions, I think we're ready to go straight into it. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to share my screen so that I want you to be able to not only hear me, but just see some of these tips so that, I can communicate with you both audibly and visually. And if that's working for you, then that's cool. And so let us begin. Let me just share my screen. Okay, so let's see if we can do this. And perhaps we can, perhaps we can't. Okay. So bear with me a moment. It seems like I am having a bit of difficulty here. So let's try again. Okay, so please tell me if you can see my shared screen. Okay, let me know if you can see the screen. I think you can. Okay, that's great. Beautiful. Okay, so as I was saying, the whole purpose behind this, ladies and gentlemen, is because we are entering in a new era, and this era is about self-empowerment, becoming empowered so that you can live the life that you want to live. And as I said, the title is How to Become the Boss of Your Life and Get Out of the Rat Race. How many people, you can please do comment, how many people feel like they're in the rat race and would like to find a way out of it? No? Oh, okay. So is that a yes? I know you can see the screen. Okay. So at least I got one person saying, yeah, I feel like I'd like to get out of the rat race. So as I said, I'm going to spend the next 30 minutes or so just sharing some of the things that I feel might be useful for you to take note of. Okay, so let us begin. So firstly, tip 1 is to know who you want to become and what you want to do. And so let me expand on this. And as I said, I'm giving and using myself as a case study so that you can get a sense of how these tips are applicable. So knowing who you want to become is really synonymous with you having a mental picture, a vision of who you want to become. In my case, I decided long ago, it sounds like the George Benson song that we were playing in our social, but I decided long ago that I wanted to make a difference in people's lives. I wanted to empower people so that they could be empowered to live successful, purposeful lives. Now, why did I want to do that? Well, there were for many reasons, and I'll come onto that in a moment. But the second part is to understand what it is that you want to do. So fortunately for me, in my teens, I'd met someone who really inspired me to literally take a different path in my life's journey. At that time, to be fair, I had a very vague sense. As far as I was concerned, my parents had said, you got to be an architect. I did like architecture, but they were like, you've got to be an architect. And so that was really all that was on my mind. But when I met this person, he inspired me to want to not be an investor in developing buildings, but investing in people. So that was who I wanted to become and what I wanted to do. Now, how I was going to do that, it wasn't absolutely clear to me, but I'm using this because I'd like you to perhaps make a note or jot it down that who do you want to become? And what is it you want to do? Now, I will add that interestingly, you're going to notice that I'm actually in this tip, I'm not talking about money at all, but you'll see how it all comes together as we go through the slides. So once you know who you want to become and what you want to do, then the next important thing is know who you want to serve and why. You see, many people think that getting out of the rat race is about making money, doing business, selling lots of products, and you only have to go on YouTube or Facebook, and you'll see that there are hundreds of ads coming at you saying, do you want to learn how to make money drop shipping or learning how to make money do this, that, and the other? And that's fine, but I'm showing you how a tried and tested way of how you get out of the rat race, especially in this new time, because very many people are not aware that we are in a new era. The way to do that is to know who you want to serve. And serve is the all important word, not who you want to sell to, but who you want to serve. Now, I'll give you a moment to think about that, because this may be contrary to how you have been thinking. Do you identify with a group that you would like to serve? If you don't, then write down this question: who do I want to serve? Because in this new era, success, those who are going to have success in abundance are those who know who they want to serve. And it's not, I want to serve everyone, but knowing who you want to serve and why. You see, it's very important that you have your why, because, ladies and gentlemen, however you dress it up, if you are going to take yourself out of the rat race, then it means that you're going to set yourself up to run your own race. And it is important for me to let you know that is not an easy feat. It's not impossible, and it's not so difficult if you have guidance and support, but it definitely is harder than being employed by somebody else on a job. And so the reason why I say that, it is so important that you understand your why. If you're looking for some guidance and some tips, you can pick up a book by Simon Sinek that I think it's called Start With Why. And in that book, he talks about the very things I'm talking about, identifying who it is you want to serve and why. And why is that important? Well, because without a shadow of a doubt, there are going to be difficult times on the journey of you wanting to become your own boss. And as I said, being your own boss isn't an easy road, because many people do think that that is the case. Being a boss means being able to employ yourself. That means even when you're feeling tired, that thing that needs to be done needs to be done. If it means you only get 2 hours sleep on that particular night in order to ensure that the things that need to be done get done, that's what you have to do when you are a boss. You employ not just everybody else, but you have to be able to employ yourself. And that takes discipline, that takes commitment to your vision, and that takes a clear understanding of why this is important to you. So in my case, many of you know my story. When I lost everything, including access to my children, I was very angry and upset. Why? Because I was upset about the fact that I had given up everything so that my children would be comfortable, only to find out that they were not comfortable. And that was when I, now looking back, recognized that life was setting me up, because it was in that moment that my soul became convicted about fighting for the rights of those who couldn't fight for themselves, meaning those who were marginalized or disenfranchised, or who just had no voice. Hence the reason why my not-for-profit organization was called Urban Voice. And I was consumed by wanting to support people in that position. Hence, my not-for-profit organization was built to do just that, to work and support and inspire young people who felt that they didn't have a voice, young people who felt that they'd been marginalized, felt that they weren't being supported, and give them a new sense of identity, purpose, value, and belief. And so basically, I channeled my energy into something constructive. And as I say, I realized over time that I loved doing this. I also continued to support and fight for the rights of my children, which eventually I was able to be successful in providing a home for them where they would be able to live under one roof as brother and sister. And I did that as a single parent. So I'm using that as an example to illustrate that you must have a burning desire. You see, just wanting to do something, for those of you who read with us in our book study club, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And if you missed that and you want to tune in to our book study club, we have all of the recordings. And so just shoot us an email and we will hook you up so that you can access that. But in the book, it talks about the importance of desire. You see, desire, ladies and gentlemen, is like spiritual fuel. It gives you energy, it gives you power, it gives you drive, it enables you to move with purpose. So, tip 2, Know who you want to serve and why you want to serve them. So, moving on, tip 3, create your personal definition of success. Now, I've had this conversation with people over the decades, and people say, well, success means different things for different people. So how can you create a personal definition of success? I get that. But for those of you who've read my book, in my book, I share a principle as a definition that I love and I use till this day. And I think you can use it too. If you haven't read the book or if you don't remember, let me go over it again. This definition, which is your personal definition of success, constitutes 3 elements. Element number 1 is doing the ability to do what you love. You see, again, as I've just said, that desire is an empowering energy. And so love is an empowering energy, because when you're doing something that you love, it is desire on steroids, because you just want to do it every day, every moment of the day, because you love it. And so when you're able to identify the thing that you love to do, that is element number 1. In my case, I love music, I love singing, I love live bands. And so me setting up my not-for-profit organization was a perfect vehicle for me to channel all of that love energy. So doing what you love. Number 2, doing what honors you. Because, some people can say that, and this is an analogy that I often use, a drug dealer makes a lot of money and may love dealing drugs because they're making a lot of money and they get to live a lavish lifestyle, potentially. But my question is, does it honor them? Do they feel proud about it? Is it something that they would want to let everybody know about and sing from the rooftops? Chances are probably not. So that's why, in that case, the drug dealer cannot be applicable to this definition of success. So over again, number 1, that which you love, that you're passionate about. Number 2, it has to honor you, whatever it is that you're doing. And then the third element is it must be of service to others, to life, to benefit others. It can't be just about you. You see, when you create your personal definition of success using those 3 guiding tools, you come up with something that is unique, bespoke to you, tailor-made. And now we just need to actually make it happen. But you then have at least a clear sense of what your personal definition of success is. And I say your because too often people look at other people and say, well, this person is doing that, let me go and do that just because it looks like that person is making money. Or this other person over here is doing this, let me go and try that. Well, yes, trial and error is one way of creating your definition of success, but this way is the way that I chose. Defining what I love, being proud of what it is that I'm doing. And for those of you who have been in this space of empowering or supporting others, there is no other thing on the planet, I believe, that gives you more joy and satisfaction than seeing someone who didn't believe in themselves go on to achieve that which was the seemingly impossible to them just a little while previous. And then, as I said, the third thing, which encompasses what I've just said, being able to benefit other people. So that's my third tip. So let's move on. And if you have some questions, please make notes and then we can go through them at the end. So where are we? Number 4, become a student and seek out your teacher in the form of a mentor or a coach. So there's a lot packed in here because the first line is the most important, I believe, in that many people want to achieve success, but they don't want to become a student. They feel that they're too big to be a student until they fail or until they hit a brick wall. And then, even then, sometimes ego gets in the way. But if you speak to any successful business person, man or woman, they will tell you that you can't do business on your own. And they'll tell you that they had to be a student in some area of their business, even if it's as simple as getting an accountant to do your books for you. You see, many people start off thinking that in order to be successful, especially if you're doing it through a business, that you have to do everything yourself. Well, my tip to you, ladies and gentlemen, is I don't believe that. You see, I believe that we're living in a time of specialization, which means when you're clear about your vision of success, that's your lane. That's what you stay on. And then you build a team of people who they have defined their lane. And so if my accountant has been in that lane for 20 years, he's probably going to know a thing or two about accounts that I don't. Equally, someone who's a specialist in marketing or promotions. So it's probably going to know better and more than I do. So when you're really clear, ladies and gentlemen, about what it is you want to become a student of, then you can seek out your teacher in the form of a mentor or a coach. So the question I would like to ask you, for those who want to get out of the rat race, have you found a vision and have you found your vision of success in terms of your personal vision? And are you now looking for a teacher in the form of a mentor or a coach? Of course, for those of you who are regular, you know, but for those of you who aren't familiar, I've been blessed to have had a mentor for 38 years, a spiritual mentor. And the power of a mentor, people just do not appreciate. I must confess, I also didn't appreciate it until many years had passed. But that's no excuse for you. You see, a mentor can speak into your life dreams and possibilities that are just beyond your wildest imagination. I remember more than 20 years ago, my spiritual mentor introducing the name Anthony Robbins into my mind and telling me that from what he could see, I could mentor and support people in a similar way. I've never heard of him before. My mentor also said that I could write a book. I'd never dreamed of writing a book. But you see, there's something powerful when you have a coach, someone who believes in you and someone who you know, like, and trust, and they literally can speak life into your situation, especially if they have done the very things that they're saying that you can do. And that's great when you have a mentor. And it's also great if your mentor can also encompass being a coach where they actually get behind you. So for me, a mentor is someone who's in front of you and pulls you forward and says, come on, we can do this. You can do this. You've got it in you. And then a coach is someone who gets behind you and kicks your butt sometimes and pushes you to say, look, you've got it in you. I'm going to keep pushing you. And when you say that I can't do any more, they push you some more with love, because they know that you've got it in you. And you only have to look at athletes, Olympic athletes, to see that wherever they come from around the globe, when it comes to the Olympics, every competitor has a coach. Why? Because a coach can push you beyond the endurance that you think you can't go beyond. And so, in summary, one, make a conscious decision to be teachable and be a student. Then two, seek out your teacher in the form of a mentor or a coach. And by that, we're talking about someone that you know, like, or trust. And if you don't know the person that you're looking at, then do your research. I always encourage people that if you really want to be the very best, find a coach or a mentor who's been in their game at least 10 years and check them out. See what they've been able to do, what they've achieved, what their success rates are. And then if they're aligned with what it is that you've identified that you want to do. So moving on, tip number 5, you may have heard Paul and I touch on this last week, where we talked about productivity versus activity. Very, very important. And I never really understood this. Well, in fact, I had no mind of this until Errol shared it with me during our sessions, in our one-to-one sessions. And then it really stuck, because many of us get caught up in what he referred to as living in Busyville, where because we're busy taking activities and doing things, we think that we're being productive, but that's not necessarily the case. You see, being productive is really about ensuring that you understand the result or the benefit of taking a particular action. So for example, in Errol's case, every single day, he wanted a report of all of his businesses on his desk by 12 o'clock midday. Why? Because then he would be able to look at that productivity report, look at the numbers, and know what activity needed to be taken in order to ensure that the business was moving in the right direction. So, and that usually, the productivity is usually attached to ensuring that the lifeblood of your business, which is money, is flowing into the business. So, you could be running around taking care of all of your business, but if you had a payment to make, let's say on the 1st of July, and you were told, you were served notice that if you don't make that payment on the 1st of July, your business is going to be shut down. But, from here leading up to that date, there's so many other things that you consider to be important, and you neglect taking care of that one thing. Well, you can be busy being active every single day from now until the 1st of July, doing all of those other things, but your business is going to get shut down, because the productive thing to do would be to handle your business to make sure that the business stays open. And so it's being able to look at your tasks on a daily basis, the activities, the things that need to be done, and being able to decipher today, what is the one thing that will be the most productive use of my time? And that is the thing that you should focus on. And ideally, in terms of what I do, I have my top 3 things in order of priority. That what are the 3 things that must be done today in order of priority? And so I focus on the first thing and give myself a blocked time whether it be an hour block or a 2-hour block, and I'm just focused on that, knowing that if that's the only thing that I can get done today, well, I would have taken care of the most important. But of course, my sights are set on then moving on to the next most productive, and then finally the third most productive. Once I've completed all of those, then I'm good for the day. And then I can, if time allows, just focus on some of the other activities that need to be done. So I hope that is clear. Productivity versus activity. Number 6. Again, this is one of Errol's. Nothing begins until something is sold. And when he first shared this with me, I thought, wow, this is great, because many of us have these ideas, these dreams, these visions of being and getting out of the rat race. But the rat race, going to work every day, well, that is the mindset that you are using to bring money in. So if you want to step off of that treadmill, then you have to get on something else that will enable you to generate money. And so I've spoken and met many people who have got business ideas, and they spend weeks and months doing business plans and cash flow forecasts and researching all kinds of things in terms of, this business is gonna work. And then they launch it and the whole thing falls flat on its face. But this time they've now spent the best part of 9 months to a year just doing the preparation. Now, preparation is good, but the moral of what Errol is saying is that only when you attempt to sell something will you know if there's a market for it. So you can do your research, cash flow forecast till the cow comes home, but until you go to market and sell or attempt to sell something to someone, you won't know if there is any value in what you have. So my advice would be, even if it's 50% complete, bring it out to market as quickly as possible and test to see if there is a market for it. I'm reminded of my son, who, when I taught him financial literacy at the tender age of 5, came home one day about a year later with a £50 note. And I was like, where the hell did you get that from? And then he broke it down to me. So apparently in his school at the time, there were these comic individuals called Pokemons. And there was crazy demand in school for these Pokemon images. Well, by that time, my son has already been familiar with the office environment, because my children had to come to work during the summer holidays for 3 hours from 9:30 till 12:30 to earn their pocket money. And then they could go and do their thing. So he was very familiar with the photocopy machine, how it worked, and the computers. And unbeknown to me, what he had done, he had used up all of my ink and printed 50 A4 images of these Pokemon, so it looked beautiful. And then he'd taken one of my folders. I had these plastic sleeve folders, and he'd inserted 50 of these images, and then took it to school and said, I'll sell it to you £1 per image. And that was how he was able to sell and test that there was a demand and prove that there was a demand. So it really isn't difficult to sell, or at least attempt to sell. And I use that story because many people are actually very nervous or fearful at the idea of asking people for money. But you see, I would like to add to Errol's suggestion where this tip 6 is concerned. And I would like to say that nothing begins without a transaction. Have you paid the price? Because you see, using that story that I gave of my son, there was a transaction that occurred before the transaction between him and the person that paid him £50, meaning that he had paid a price. He had taken the time to mastermind what he was going to do, given it a lot of thought. He had also paid the price to take and invest his time and coordinate the printing process and bring all of these things together to create something of value. And this is something that we should pay attention to, because now that folder had his energy, had his creativity all brought together, had his intellect all brought together and packaged in a unique and appealing way. And that is the thing that must be done. You see, many of us want to engage in making money without doing a transaction, without paying the price. And I'm here to say to you that I don't believe that that's possible. When you pay the price, take the time to think about deeply what it is you want to bring together, who it is you want to serve, how they're going to benefit, and put that sweat equity into creating your product. Now you've paid the price and you can do that transaction in terms of making that sale. So let's move on. Tip number 7. So create your product, then give it away. Now, this may sound like, what do you mean, Tony? That doesn't make sense. We're trying to get out of the rat race. Notice I still haven't really talked and focused about getting money. Isn't that interesting? You see, when you create your product, then you give it away. What I mean by that, and using my son's example, you see, he told me that he reckoned that he could have sold each one of those images for £5. But he reduced his charge to really offer the product at a bargain as far as the purchaser was concerned. And so that is what I mean by giving it away. You see, many of you know that I'm often talking about the secret law of giving, because it is a spiritual thing that I have engaged with and found it to be magical, in the sense that when you have something and you know the value, and yes, you want to test the market, so you may want to put some price on it, but if you know that the price that you're putting on it is really, really cheap, considering, and you can have people appreciate that, then that's what I mean by giving it away. So initially, for example, when I started doing my GPS mentoring and coaching programs many years ago, I knew that what I had in mind and what I was bringing to my first group of students, they couldn't afford it. And so, you know what I did? I reduced what I believed was the value of the course and sold it at a price that the students could afford. But they didn't understand the value of it until they had completed the course. And then they were like, oh my God, this is amazing. Since then, my prices have increased almost tenfold, because as I'm engaging with more and more people and they're seeing the value, and they're hearing the testimonials and the transformational impact it's having, I can now bring it closer to its true value. And even then, I'm having some of my students and graduates saying it's priceless. I mean, what price can you put on saving someone's marriage? What price can you put on a mother and daughter being able to reconcile their differences when the child was just on the verge of leaving home, not wanting to talk with their mother? So this is what I mean when I say create your product, then give it away. Practice the secret law of giving. And so again, for those of you who know that in some cases, when I see a real need and a person cannot afford, not even on a reduced level, we have a bursary scheme in place where I'm prepared to cover up to 90% of the cost of the course. Why? Because I know and trust the secret law of giving. And also, I know what it's like to have dreams and aspirations and not have money in your pocket to be able to pay for them. And I, as a result, because I've been there, promised myself that as long as the case was genuine, because unfortunately some people be fronting like that, but as long as it was a genuine case, then I would always be there to be able to support people in that capacity also. So we're almost done. Tip number 8, the must 4 Ps for a success business in that new era. And this was a tip from Michael Beckwith. Some of you may have seen this recording. This was recorded back in 2016, where Michael Beckwith almost predicted this new era that we've moved into, where he spoke about being successful in business now was not just based on making money, it was not just the profit side of things, but it was one, being clear of the purpose of the business. Number 2, the business was focused on people, central to the business, serving people. Then 3rd, being mindful of the environment, the planet, how your business has an impact on the environment. And then 4, profit, sustainability, because obviously you have to make a profit in order to sustain the business and enable you to continue to have purpose, to serve people, and to be environmentally friendly. So again, if you're on that tip of thinking about getting off the rat race and starting this business, these 4 things should definitely be at the forefront of your mind. Tip number 9, to create a vision and then start your GPS Grow Personal Success journey. So for those of you who have been on the Mind Reset course, then you know that GPS is not about a sat nav for your outward destination, but a sat nav for your inward destination. Now that we've created our personal vision of success, you now get to start to walk that journey. And of course, the first tool that we use in our artillery is the Mind Reset course. And the Mind Reset course, why? Because it gives you the opportunity to gain clarity on, or should I say in, the 5 areas that I mentioned to you at the beginning of the presentation. So those 5 areas really must be firmly etched on your mind, because they will constitute your personal vision of success and the journey that you're embarking upon. So lastly, but not the least, never turn off your GPS. Use the mind reset to grow your personal vision of success, if not daily, weekly, monthly. And for those of you who've done the mind reset, you know that we've shown you how you can use that tool to continually navigate your journey. Will there be difficult times? Of course there will. Will there be challenging times? Of course there will. But never turn off your GPS, because the moment you do that, you lose sight of your vision. And as Errol said once, winners never quit and quitters never win. So if you are a winner, then if you have your clear vision of what success is for you, then you can't quit. So I'm done. I hope that this has been of benefit. Now I'm going to find out, because I'm going to stop sharing my screen and give you the opportunity to ask any questions that you might have. So let's see how we do. Are there any questions that you'd like to ask? And in the meantime, I'd actually like to invite some of our practitioners who may wish to give their perspective on the presentation to come and join me. Why? Because they pretty much embody many of the things that I've spoken about this evening. So great comment. Thank you. That was an awesome presentation. Well, I hope that it has been of benefit, because why is this so important to me, ladies and gentlemen? It's because we have some challenging times ahead of us. And these challenging times require individuals to be very entrepreneurial in their thinking. And so if you're on the treadmill and you want to become your own boss, then I'm sharing this with you because the time to do that is now. The time to start to make inroads is now, because nothing is guaranteed. And unfortunately, in the work environment, things are only going to become more challenging. Why? Because there's record numbers of unemployment, as we know. What does that mean? It means that employers can be picky and choosy about who they take on. Not only that, for those who are working, they can ask you to do over and beyond the call of duty. Why? Because they know that if you don't want to do it, they'll just say, we got someone else. And it's very stressful. So someone says, my head teacher in my secondary school always told us, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Absolutely. So let's see, do we have any of our practitioners that would like to make a comment? If you do wish to make a comment, then please just raise your hand and I will upgrade you. And if there are any questions, surely there'll be a question. I mean, I know I may have done a great presentation, but surely there must be a question from someone. Sharon, is that a hand raised that I see? So I'm not going to promote you. I'm not going to do that without you confirming. But Sharon, the reason I'm inviting Sharon is because she has recently just taken that step towards being a change maker and making that step towards entrepreneurialism. But she's kind of she's not there at the moment. Okay. So anyone else would like to put their hand up? Hi, Alegna, how you doing? Angela, we haven't seen you for a while. And Carol, good to see you here. So who would like? Now I could shall I pick someone out? Or really was the presentation that great? Well, whilst you're thinking about it, let me take a moment then just to talk a little bit. Okay, so I was going to say something, but Elegna, hey Tony and everyone. Hi Elegna. Well, Elegna, you're in that space. Elegna's in that space where she is doing a 9 to 5, but she's very focused on building her business. So Elegna, would you like to make a comment as to some of the things that I've shared, whether you have found it useful, whether you agree or disagree? I'm gonna allow you to talk. I would add, trust your instincts. Well, why don't you just come and say that? Trust your instincts. Okay. Are you there?
Okay. I'm here, Tony. It's Angela.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Angela, how you doing? Yes,
I'm
I can.
fine. I'm fine. Yeah, we have to. I haven't got my. I can't. Can I put my video on? Am I not allowed to put my video on?
Yes, you are. Just bear with me a moment.
I can't do it. It's just got a blank box.
One moment. So I'm promoting you to a panelist now. So you should be able to come up on screen. Has that worked? There you go. Angela, hey,
Hi,
long time. How you
everyone. Glad
doing?
to see you. I'm fine. I'm fine. Been going through a lot of things, a lot of changes. Yes, we have to. We know. How can I put it? We know what we want. Everybody knows what they want in their heart of hearts. We know exactly what we want. And it is all about service, helping other people achieve their dreams so that you can achieve your dreams. That's what it's all about, I think.
Okay. Well, that's
and we have to
said that. It's interesting that you
Yeah.
said that, Angela, because in my working with people, you know what I've come to discover? That
Yeah.
actually there's only a few people who actually know what they want.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I agree. And you help them. I don't know, we have to sort of guide them into finding what they want, because at the end of the day, it's got to come from them.
Absolutely.
You know, it's got to be their dream. It's got to be their hope, their aspirations, not ours. Because we will, for example, our children, there is so much we want for our children, but we have to let them go, and have to let them find their own journey, their own path.
Absolutely.
So we're facilitators, us mature ones.
And that's what it's
we
about.
do have a bit of knowledge. Yeah. So I think you got to trust the process, trust in the universe, that the universe, God, whatever you call him, her, wants the best for every single one of us. And also, it's not about me now. It's about collaboration and working together, because it's better working as a team, helping each other, not, taking it all for yourself. There's plenty for everybody.
Well, that's an interesting comment that you made, the subject of collaboration. And so over the years, I've found many people talk about collaboration, but when it actually comes down to it, what I've found is many people actually don't know what collaboration means. What do I mean? To collaborate means if I want to collaborate with you, it means us sharing a common vision and me being clear what I possess and what I can contribute towards the manifesting of that vision, and you being very clear about what you possess and what you can contribute. Yes. Collaboration is not me saying, oh, Angela, let's do some stuff together, but I'm just thinking about how I can take from what you got going on.
Yes, it's not. I think of it, what can I give to you? That's where I come from. What can I give to you? How can I serve you? And then I will get what I need as well. Just by serving other people, you get what you need, what you want. So that's what collaboration is. And also, like you said, with integrity. That is
with
very,
integrity,
very important.
Because collaboration without a vision is not collaboration. Meaning, I was in Chicago a couple of years ago with Errol, and I don't know if I've mentioned this in the group before, but the gentleman, Bill Walsh, I think his name was making a presentation, and he had a Ferrari badge on screen. And he said, do you know that there are 300 collaborations that are going on underneath that Ferrari brand in order to deliver a Ferrari car? So it's not a case of just giving, but it's about, here is the vision, and every one of those 300 individuals or companies share the vision and say, well, you know what? My company can make the engines. Another one says, my company can make tires that meet that specification. Are you with me? They bring all of those elements together under the Ferrari brand. And as a result of the high quality that sits under that brand, they can charge a premium, which means that they can pay all of the 300 partners and everybody who's participated in the collaborative process benefits. That's collaboration.
Yeah, win-win for like a spider's web, Tony. We're all linked like a spider's web.
Absolutely.
It's got to be win-win for everybody. Not you win, I lose, whatever it is. Win-win for everybody. That's what true collaboration is.
And as you know, in this new season, as you said earlier on, it's not about me. It's about we. How can we win together?
Yes.
So thank you for sharing that. Is there anyone else that would like to join us to add to the conversation, or anyone that would like to offer a tip or a suggestion? So I have Laura, and this is good because even here in this context, the collaborating and the spirit of giving is one where we now want to make a contribution, as opposed to just sitting in and taking all the information that's coming from Tony. You see, the more that we engage with life and participate, the more I truly believe, get blessed as a result. Now, I think my apologies, I thought I had promoted Laura to panelist. I haven't, but I definitely have done so now, I believe. So, Laura, are you there? Yes, she is. Hey, Laura, how you doing?
Hi, Tony. I'm well, thank you. Hi,
Good.
Angela. Sorry,
Hi.
you know, my internet dropped off, so I didn't actually hear any of what Angela said. So please forgive me, Angela.
Okay,
And
not to worry. So
yeah,
what's
so I can't participate in what was just said.
But what's your contribution?
So for me, when listening to the presentation, Tony, it actually took me back 2 years ago when I decided that I had had enough of this hamster wheel that we call it, the just running around like a headless chicken. And I took that step to say yes, to join you, for you to become my coach and my mentor. And as the journey has progressed, I am now, you identified my purpose with me, and I am now one of your practitioners. And what was interesting for me was that the vision that I had, I knew that I didn't want a business. And I've always said, and I said this to you from the beginning, I didn't want to have my own business. However, I wanted to serve. And through that, this has happened, that I am actually doing what I love, which is to serve and help women, because there is so much healing that's needed in our community. And just by doing that, it's given me so much joy. And I'm just giving of myself, because I've experienced lots of things in life, and we all have, but a lot of us, we don't know how to express, heal, and move on, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. And you know, what I'm really excited about, yes, I had the vision as far back as 2012, but what I'm really excited about is seeing this healing energy that is moving across the earth. And it's proving itself in the sense that, like Laura, there are thousands, if not tens of thousands of people that want to get off this hamster wheel, that want to get out of the rat race. But like Laura said, people are stuck in a mindset, the old paradigm, where they can't see any other way out. And so through fear, they just keep doing what they're doing, what they've always done, in the hope that things will get better. But we know things are not going to get better. But what's exciting about what I see is that we know that there are, as I said, tens of thousands of people who are either needing to heal from some stuff, something. And the truth of the matter is, you can't experience abundance until you've healed. And what's exciting for me is recognizing that it is necessary, it will be necessary for us to have a group of individuals like Laura who have identified their niche and wanting to serve and potentially don't want to have the headache of running a business, doing, tax returns and all of that marketing and promotion. But we are now in that stage of building that framework that will support people who are committed to their own growth, like Laura, have identified how they wish to serve and proven it. Because you can't become a practitioner unless you've gone through the fire in terms of proving that you're here for people. And that is what is really exciting. So watch out the second half of the year. I think it's going to be so dynamic because it means that people like Laura with lived experience, with wisdom, compassion, love, that healing feminine energy means that we can begin to heal ourselves. Rather than looking outside for support, we can do it ourselves because we're empowered, those of us who have done the work. So it's a credit to you, Laura. And I know for the last year or so, I don't think I've seen you stop smiling.
It's just wonderful. Once you step into this new paradigm, as you say, you look at life so differently. And, the books that we've been reading from the book club, it's that spiritual journey and the whole connection, Tony, that I heard Angela saying that we're all connected. And it's that connectedness that we all have that is just so powerful. And if only more people were aware of that energy that we all have, because we are all energetic beings. And
Absolutely.
It's just sad that people are now more physical than spiritual. They don't realize the power that we all possess. And I think if we started to tap more into our spirituality, magic will happen on planet Earth.
Well, for those who don't get it, we do. And so we're going to take the lead and lead by example. So I'm mindful of the time, and I'm mindful that perhaps there may be some people that may want to ask some questions, but do it off social media. So I'm going to draw this evening to a close for those who are on social media. Like I said, make sure if you want to join us next week when we're going to be talking about money in its new form and how you can take advantage of some of the exciting things that Chris is working on developing in the space of cryptocurrency, then make it a date and join us. Until then, we're going to sign off. And so it's a good night from myself and good night from Angela and Laura. And
bye, everyone.
We'll see you next week. So I'm going to stop the live stream now,
Process.
and we'll continue